Welcome to another episode in the series BIMSTEC, Perspectives and Potential of the Region. On this episode, we focus on Bhutan. Our guest on this episode is Dr. Shiva Bhattarai. He is the founding dean of the Royal Thimphu College and a member of the academic board of the Royal University of Bhutan, the governing board of all Bhutanese higher education institutions. He was also Dean of Academic Affairs at the BIMSTEC College, the first tertiary education institute in Bhutan. With an illustrious academic career spanning decades, he is a specialist in environmental studies with a PhD in limnology. Thank you very much, Dr. Bhattarai, for joining us. Welcome on board this particular episode of BIMSTEC, where we look at the prospects and perspective of this international grouping. If you were to start off by asking you about Bhutan and BIMSTEC, if you could reflect upon the contribution that has been made by Bhutan and what BIMSTEC means to Bhutan.
Right. Thank you, Mr. George Cook, for this opportunity. The Bay of Bengal Initiative for Multisectoral Technical and Economic Cooperation was, as we all know, founded sometimes in 1997. Initially with 6 member countries, Bangladesh, India, Myanmar, Nepal, Sri Lanka, and Thailand. And Bhutan joined a bit late as the 7th country in this regional cooperation in 2004. Based on my interactions with concerned agency in the country, as well as my own brief research, the BIMSTEC initially was, when it was established, it had some 14 areas of cooperation, but a long list. Eventually, I think over a number of years, after several deliberations, it was thought that about 7 would be priority areas, and that those are also the areas of interest for Bhutan. Very quickly, the trade, investment and development, agriculture and food security, connectivity, science, technology and innovation, security, environment and climate change, and people-to-people contact. I think these are broadly the 7 areas of cooperation common for the 7 countries. Bhutan initially was identified as the country lead for culture, and Bhutan hosted the first BIMSTEC ministerial meeting on culture in Paro in May of 2006. Following the Paro initiative, the royal government of Bhutan was supposed to establish what is called as BIMSTEC Cultural Industries Observatory, or what is called as BCIO in Bhutan. And the Department of Culture under the Ministry of Home and Cultural Affairs was given this responsibility. My own inquiry with the concerned agency, this ministry, tells me that it is not yet formally established. But in the meantime, I learned that Bhutan is also the lead country for environment and climate change. I think very rightly so, for the fact that Bhutan has championed environment and climate change through various ways and mechanisms. More than 70% of Bhutan's, Bhutan is actually the reserved and parks and the reserve forest. So we have more than 70% forest cover, which in itself is a big, I think, basis for environmental conservation. And also there are a lot of very effective conservation projects and activities going on in the country in all these different parks and reserves. And Bhutan is known for its carbon negative status. So for all that makes it, I think, appropriate for Bhutan to be the lead country for this particular area, the environment and climate change. As far as the administrative setup is concerned, BIMSTEC, there is a what is called as BIMSTEC desk under the regional organization division under Ministry of Foreign Affairs, which is the focal point for the Royal Government's engagement with the Secretariat of BIMSTEC. So I think these are already a lot of foundation has been laid in terms of carrying out a lot of these activities as a part of the BIMSTEC cooperation, the regional cooperation. I think in the most recent development, we also have a senior Bhutanese official, Mr. Tenzin Lekfel, who is appointed as the Secretary General of BIMSTEC. For Bhutan, I think that's a very significant development. We hope that Mr. Lekfel's leadership will make a very positive influence of Bhutan on the success of BIMSTEC. So, yeah, so mostly this is what I come to know about Bhutan's engagement and commitment in this regional cooperation. Moving on, in my opinion, BIMSTEC should have achieved more than what we see on the ground today. This should not be just another forum for meetings and greetings and goodbyes. People of the region, I think, deserve a lot of positive outcomes from this important and strategic forum. Again, speaking from the Bhutan point of view, the country's effort to pursue economic development, the country is also trying to graduate from the underdeveloped or LDC status. I think trade is one of the most important sectors of cooperation for Bhutan. And I'm sure this is true for most of the other or all of the other partners in this cooperation. For a landlocked country like Bhutan, the nearest seaports are located on the shores of Bay of Bengal. Therefore, the BIMSTEC regional cooperation is so much crucial for Bhutan. The other very important sector for Bhutan to collaborate with the other member states is the, of course, as already mentioned, the environment and climate change. Our climate is mainly influenced by the monsoon that arises mainly on the Bay of Bengal and has huge impacts on the livelihoods of the people of this country, as well as, of course, the region, particularly the Himalayan region, the foothills, and also the lower down in the plains of Bangladesh, India, to some extent Burma, because this has a huge impact. The Himalayan, landscape in the north, the entire north, has a huge impact on the plains, particularly when it comes to the hydrological cycle. It is very obvious how the climate change is a common concern, not just at a regional level, but also globally. Therefore, there is an enormous potential for research and climate change, livelihood adaptations and resilience and mitigation in the area of climate change. Knowledge and technology sharing for sustainable development and to mitigate climate change and supporting the livelihoods of the people is critical in the region today. Every year we have been witnessing a lot of extreme climatic conditions. Again, when I shared the experience of Bhutan, we had all kinds of disasters related to heavy downpour, erratic weather, landslides, to name a few. But oftentimes these memories are short-lived, and until we are hit again, we tend to become complacent. The other area definitely is agriculture. Of course, the large population, the chunk of the population in this region are dependent on agriculture, large chunk of population. Sustainable agriculture, therefore, is another potential for cooperation. I would say that we are running against the time when it comes to climate change and its negative impacts. I would appeal the researchers, academicians, and technocrats of the BIMSTEC region to engage more and deliberate and recommend ways to the policy makers, politicians, bureaucrats, to address this common issue of climate change facing all of us. If I may also touch upon another area, sector that is extremely important, this is tourism. Over the years, brand Bhutan continued to receive distinctions such as being the only carbon negative country, as I mentioned earlier, a country whose development philosophy is guided by gross national happiness rather than the gross domestic product. In December 2020, there was this second BIMSTEC network of tour operators meeting in order to kind of identify the basis of tourism in the new normal amidst the pandemic. There was this discussion of bubble tourism, which could be taken up as an important source of partnership among the BIMSTEC member countries, but I think it really never got picked up. All the member countries are, in a way, the travel corridors or green lanes that benefit all the partner countries mutually. I would say that I think the entire region is kind of a travel corridors for people to transit and travel, and also, travel to other countries. So I understand that Bhutan has already started planning on this front as a part of the national response mechanism of the government and the economic contingency plan. But of course, again, the pandemic is still around, and therefore there are more actions needed on the ground to make this trade and economic cooperation as well as tourism more real and more practical. The Director General of Tourism Council of Bhutan puts it very succinctly. He says, most recently, the tourism has become highly vulnerable to global events with far-reaching consequences to everybody. This actually reinforces the importance of regional cooperation to lessen the adverse effects of shocks from such unforeseen events. To mitigate these concerns, there is a need to smoothen movement of people, upgrade destination infrastructure and services through innovation and digital transformation, identify and promote unique tourism products such as spiritual tours, tourism for well-being and wellness, and of course, ecotourism within the BIMSTEC countries. So these are some of the areas that I thought are important and timely for the partner countries to deliberate and come to some kind of develop some kind of strategic plan so that it benefits the entire population. I think basically at the end, I just would like to recommend more interactions, sharing and understanding of issues of national and regional concerns among different sectors within the 7 countries. The decision makers, scientists, technocrats from the region need to come together, deliberate more, and on a priority basis, give more life and meaning to this regional cooperation. I would say that this should not be another club of few leaders coming together, officials meeting, gathering, and socializing. I think the 1.5 billion people in the region, this region deserve more from this kind of regional cooperation. So with this, perhaps I would stop, and thank you for the opportunity once again.
Thank you so much, Dr. Bhattarai. You gave us a perspective of Bhutan in BIMSTEC, and also as we look ahead, what more can be done, how we need to, as you very rightly said, this should not be just meeting and greeting. We need to go beyond that in terms of making our interaction that much more meaningful. How are we going to make decisions that are mutually beneficial? Make sure that our people are progressing, our people are recovering, are reaching out and to each other, and also being able to gain the synergy of cooperation. That is something very relevant, especially in the field that you are in. When you talk about environment, sustainable development, climate change, you are in a field in which you have seen this, you know what the implications are. Bhutan
Yes.
has made vast strides, which as a region, as a sub-region of South Asia, we are extremely proud of the fact that Bhutan has been able to achieve negative zero emissions, negative emissions. You've gone to make an example of yourself on the world stage. Many countries are talking about Bhutan. I do recall some years ago, your Prime Minister made a very important TED talk where he talked about
Yes.
how
Yes.
Bhutan has been able to achieve the levels that
Yeah.
it has progressed to. And that is something
Mm-hmm.
remarkable, especially from an environmental perspective. So thank you. Thank you once again, Dr. Bhattarai.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Again, this is really something for me to also learn. Gives me opportunity to learn and know more about this cooperation. And then if there is another opportunity, another platform, I would be able to perhaps, discuss more on this. So I'm more than happy to be a part of this deliberation. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Dr. Bhattarai.
Thank you.
That was Dr. Shiva Bhattarai, a very senior academic from Bhutan, the founding dean of the Royal Thimphu College, and also the Dean of Academic Affairs earlier at the Sherutse College, the first tertiary education institution in Bhutan, sharing the Bhutanese perspective when we look at BIMSTEC, when we talk about the potential for the region as we go ahead. Join us again on the next episode when we focus on another country in the BIMSTEC region.